Press its performance past its design. Recognize, then all but ignore the danger. Fight. Win races, then championships. Then meet with the best from all forms of the craft. Match and equal cars in the four-part series that is the International Race of Champions. A pinnacle meeting of 12 of the best drivers in racing. Like Roberto Guerrero from the Indy cars, last year he was nearly killed in a test session at Indianapolis. He lay in a coma for 17 days. When he returned to driving this year, he was beset by accidents. 2 at Indy, including 1 on the first lap of the race, and 1 at Riverside in the IROC. He decided to take a rest. This is his first race after that break. Bobby Rahal, in 1986, won the Indianapolis 500 on his way to the first of 2 consecutive IndyCar championships. In doing so, Rahal has displayed a new versatility for IndyCar drivers. Road racing Californian Chris Cord, driving for Dan Gurney, scored 4 wins last year at Riverside, Laguna Seca, Portland, and Del Mar to win the IMSA GTO Championship. Jeff Bodine is the defending champion of the IROC Series. The 36-year-old NASCAR driver from Chemung, New York, won the Daytona 500 in 1986. Last month, he won the Pocono 500. Al Unser is a 3-time IndyCar champion. He was the champion of the IROC Series number 5 in 1978. Last year, he became the second 4-time winner of the Indianapolis 500-mile race. Al Holbert is driving in his 3rd IROC Series. He's America's winningest road racing driver, a 3-time champion at the 24-Hour of Le Mans, IMSA's all-time race winner. He has 7 IMSA GT championships. Dale Earnhardt, whose hard driving in NASCAR is a legend, is in his 4th IROC Series. The 3-time Winston Cup champion in 1980, 86, and 87. When Dale once passed, he gets by any way he can. Terry Labonte from NASCAR is in his 2nd IROC Series. Labonte is the 84 Winston Cup champion. In April, he won at North Wilkesboro. In May, he won the Winston. Al Unser Jr. is on a hot streak in the Indy cars. He leads the points fight, winning the last 2 races. His style is aggressive and hard-charging. At the Meadowlands, he pushed past Emerson Fittipaldi for his victory. Road racer Chip Robinson was on the pole at Riverside. The 34-year-old driver from Old Wick, New Jersey, last year won the 24 Hours of Daytona. Then won at Portland and San Antonio to score the IMSA GT Championship. He hopes for a future driving in the IndyCar. Bill Elliott is a master of the super speedway. He won the Daytona IROC, twice the winner of the Daytona 500. In July, he won the Daytona Firecracker by inches. He's the only man ever to win NASCAR's $1 million bonus. Because Scott Pruitt won at Riverside, he'll start last today. 7 wins last year brought him the Trans Am Championship. On a rougher road in 1986, he was the IMSA GTO champion. 12 of the top drivers in racing in identically prepared cars face one another in the 3rd round of the International Race of Champions. Brought to you by the heartbeat of America, today's Chevrolet. By Budweiser, proud sponsors of the 1988 U.S. Olympic team. This buzz for you. By AC Delco Automotive Parts. They don't just fit, they match. And by STP, makers of STP oil treatment. STP is the edge. The challenge today is Michigan International Speedway, a giant 2-mile super speedway located just 70 miles west of Detroit, Michigan. Hello, I'm Paul Page. Round 3 of the International Race of Champions with over $750,000 in purse available for the series and over $200,000 to be awarded to the series champion. Now, at this moment, there's a tremendous fight for the points lead between Scott Pruitt and Bill Elliott. They are tied for the lead. 11 of the 12 drivers have a mathematical chance of being the series champion at the end of the 4 rounds. Only one doesn't. That's Chris Cord. He's had abdominal surgery and will not start here at Michigan International, but he expects to be back for round number 4 at Watkins Glen, New York. The International Race of Champions, and a great deal more coming up on ABC Sports this afternoon. Now, let's join my colleague Keith Jackson in Providence, Rhode Island.
We're at the Civic Center in Providence, Rhode Island, where today on ABC Sports, next, as a matter of fact, the U.S. Olympic basketball team. 17 players will start their final 26 tough days. Among those trying to make this Olympic team will be David Robinson of the Navy, banging himself back into shape. And it's going to be a tough 26 days because these 17 players will eventually be trimmed to 12. We also have golf for you today, the U.S. Senior Men's Golf Championship at Medina. For the latest on that, let's join Jack Whitaker.
So it's a terrific lineup that we have for you this afternoon here on ABC Sports. First, it's the International Race of Champions, where we have a tie for the points lead at 31 points, Bill Elliott and Scott Pruitt. But just as important, a three-way battle for third place at 26 points. Chip Robinson, Terry Labonte, and Al Unser Jr. Now, Sam Posey has been watching the series. By now, you have some favorites.
Well, Paul, I'm going to be focusing on Elliott and Pruitt because although I don't think either of them has a chance to win this race because they're gridded at the back of the pack, how far up they get through the field may very well be the story of who wins the IROC championship this year. Now, along the way, Bill Elliott may get some help, albeit grudging help, from his fellow NASCAR drivers. Pruitt is going to be entirely on his own. Pruitt, however, is immensely motivated, as we saw at the IROC race at Riverside, where he shouldered Chip Robinson aside to take the lead. He does not have the established reputation of Bill Elliott. Pruitt needs the recognition that this race can give him, and he could use the money.
We'll be watching one other driver, Bobby Rahal. He's won here in the Indy cars. Right now, he's with Jack Arute.
Paul, the last time that we saw Bobby Rahal, he was being mugged NASCAR style at the Riverside International Raceway on the final lap of that event. And that mugging by Terry Labonte cost him any hopes of the IROC championship for this year. Now, Bobby, we're here at Michigan. Do you think about that Riverside altercation?
Well, I think about it. I mean, I don't lose sleep over it, but I still remember it pretty vividly. And as you say, it took me out of really any real shot at the championship. And there's a lot of money and prestige at stake. So I think about it. There's no question.
Well, we're back on a high-speed oval, NASCAR style. You've got fenders and bumpers, the chrome horn. Will you be able to give it to Terry Labonte and pay him back here?
Well, you just have to see how things shake out. But, I mean, I really don't know. Anything can happen. We'll just have to see.
Well, he'll be starting a little further up than Labonte, but no telling what can happen in an IROC race here at Michigan. Gentlemen?
All right, Bobby Unser, the champion of IROC #2 back in 1975. This is the second super speedway of the series, but this is vastly different than Daytona.
Well, that's right, Paul. We do have two oval races on IROC this year, one in Daytona and one here at Michigan. The big difference being Daytona Beach is 2.5 miles around, 31 degrees banking. Here at Michigan, we're 2 miles around, 18 degrees banking. Makes this place at Michigan about 18, 20 miles an hour slower than Daytona. Daytona Beach, the drivers put the pedal to the metal, run them wide open all the way around. Passing is done mainly with slipstreaming, whereas here at Michigan, they can't drive wide open all the way around. They have to back off the throttle a little bit in the turns. Guys that back off the most go the slowest. And the drivers will probably make most of the difference in the passing instead of slipstreaming.
And the engines are started on 11 IROC Camaros. The pole sitter, Roberto Guerrero, is poised and ready. The rest of the field, Bobby Rahal, who will start on the outside of the front row. These cars have been mildly modified since their run at Riverside. They're set up now to run a super speedway, to run a high bank oval, and they are ready to go. Some tremendous speed will come from these IROC Camaros here at Michigan International Speedway. The field is now set. The engines are started, and we'll be back for the start of round #3 of the IROC right after this. You're riding on the front bumper of Terry Labonte's car in the 4th row. Just ahead, Al Holbert and Dale Earnhardt ready for the start as well. We take a look at the starting grid, the front row. Roberto Guerrero, Bobby Rahal. The 2nd row, Jeff Bodine and Al Unser. The 3rd row, Al Holbert on the inside, Dale Earnhardt to the outside. The 4th row, Terry Labonte and Al Unser Jr. The 5th row, Chip Robinson and Bill Elliott. And Scott Pruitt is the lone occupant of the 6th row. Beautiful clear skies overhead here at Brooklyn, Michigan. We expect temperatures to go to the high 80s. Watching now for the green flag As the field comes down, Roberto Guerrero pulls just ahead of Bobby Rahal. The green flag flies, and we race at Michigan International Speedway. As Rahal comes down to the inside, a battle for second place goes on as the second row remains aligned. Now, Bodine begins to push ahead, gets to the high side of Bobby Rahal. Rahal, Bodine, that's Earnhardt down low as they're three abreast onto the backstretch. Earnhardt forges his way up along with Bodine and powers his way up to a battle for the lead with Jeff Bodine. So Earnhardt and Bodine fight.
Well, that was really a good start. It looked like Guerrero jumped everybody at the start a little bit, got in a little sooner, but he's paid for it since. Earnhardt's been able to just really rapidly move up through the field. He's really looking fast right now.
But the yellow flag flies at the starter's stand without an indication as to whether or not they were dissatisfied with that start, which was ragged in the front row, or if there is something occurring on the track. Certainly no car in trouble, no spin.
Well, they really weren't lined up way back in between 3 and 4 turn. Roberto was way ahead, and Rahal was staying in line with the rest of the field, so they might just have a restart here, Paul.
Well, that's exactly what they're going to do, a restart. And Sam Posey, now they have telegraphed their thoughts.
Well, yes and no, though, Paul. Don't you feel that I think the amazing move that Earnhardt was able to make was because Guerrero saw the yellow first and backed off. I think that's why we got the big disparity in speeds up the back stretch.
So Roberto Guerrero as the pole sitter, Bobby Rahal alongside the front row, realign themselves and are ready for a restart. Cars in position in the third turn. And Roberto Guerrero now brings the field around. The second row again is Bodine and Al Unser. Jeff Bodine in that bright yellow car. There is Roberto Guerrero. This is his first race after that rest. He decided he needed a break in the middle of the season. This is his first time back at the wheel in full competition. Al Unser, the senior Unser, sits in the second row. You're looking up into the third row. The 7 car of Al Holbert. The 6 car of Dale Earnhardt. Now the field is aligned. And it is green flag racing, and again they spread out, heading for the first turn, though this time Rahal and Guerrero are side by side through one. Bodine pulls into third place. Al Unser and Dale Earnhardt begin to fight.
This is a crucial race for Roberto Guerrero because his Indy ride is not giving him much of a chance to showcase the fact that he has probably recovered, at least in my mind, he has recovered fully from his injury. IROC is his best chance to prove that to the world and maybe to himself.
So Roberto Guerrero at the front being challenged now by Jeff Bodine, and just at the edge of your screen, Bill Elliott starts his challenge, now moving out of the picture as Rahal and Earnhardt are lined up third and fourth.
A pretty nice start, Paul. You notice how they're still running 2 and sometimes 3 abreast. They're still trying to figure out how much slipstreaming the cars will do in reference to the sharp turn. There we go into turn number 1, pretty sharp. Jeff Bodine is really hanging on to Roberto. Roberto's really hanging on pretty nice right now. They had a real nice start the last time.
100 miles, the distance, 50 laps around this 2-mile circuit at Michigan International Speedway as the battle is for third as Dale Earnhardt moves around Al Unser. And Terry Labonte closes in behind Unser, but here comes Unser back with the charge, and that lime green car is Al Unser Jr. pulling up behind his father.
Well, you can just see that we're going to have a lot more passing today than we sometimes had in the past of the IROC cars. They're really going to mix it up all day. It looks like the cars are going to be capable of passing, Paul.
So that you can quickly identify the key combatants here. Pruitt is in a pink car and is making strong moves. Elliott is in a silver car. Both of them have moved up a couple of slots.
That is Al Unser Jr. riding just ahead, currently running 4th and 5th position. That's the fight for 4th ahead. And you're on board now. There is Al Unser Jr. And you can see a piece of yellow tape on the steering wheel, Bobby. That tells him when the wheel is centered straight up.
That's right. In a stock car, you actually turn the steering wheel quite a ways. Just watch the tape and all the in-car cams. You can see the drivers really turn the steering wheels a long ways, whereas with an Indy car, you would just barely move the steering wheel to go through this same turn.
Roberto Guerrero continues to hold off the challenge of Jeff Bodine, then Al Unser, then his son, then Bill Elliott and Dale Earnhardt, followed by Terry Labonte, Al Holbert. Bobby Rahal has dropped all the way from the front row back to 9th, and Scott Pruitt, then Chip Robinson. The International Race of Champions will be back right after this. National Race of Champions, Roberto Guerrero is still the leader. He's being chased by Jeff Bodine. Let's go down to the pits. This from Jack Arute.
Well, Paul, your supposition of why they did not start is absolutely correct. It was an untidy start. You saw Bobby Rahal break to the front around Roberto Guerrero. The kart officials who are in control of this event elected to wave it off and have a complete restart.
And you saw it as Jeff Bodine worked his way around Roberto Guerrero. And on lap number 4, Bodine picks up the lead.
Well, he's just really working that slipstream hard. Jeff seems to be working really good, but another guy seems to be working pretty good. It's Al Sr., who's right behind him. He's moved around Roberto. Here comes Al Jr. trying to get him on the high side now.
Well, fight. Al Unser Jr. in that lime green car. There is Guerrero down alongside the senior Unser as it's a fight for second, third, fourth, and fifth.
Bodine, of course, is suddenly coming alive at this point in the season. He was second at Talladega last week. I talked to him moments before the start today. He's feeling extremely racy and was generally considered by the other drivers to be the favorite in this race. And incidentally, this morning, he took out one of the Indy cars. You saw Guerrero touch there. He took out Dick Simon's Indy car on this track and turned over 200 miles an hour within 4 laps. Pretty good achievement.
This is some of the best racing we've seen, Sam. The cars are running so close together, touching. Now, Roberto has gotten out of the slipstream. He just touched a little bit ago with Al Sr. The cars just came together slightly, which doesn't hurt anything. He's slowly falling back because he's just not lined up with the slipstream.
And the key combination, though, I think, is the silver and the dark blue car. It's Elliott and Earnhardt riding back now 4th and 5th position as they appear to have hooked up, and they're going to help one another.
Well, I'm going to add, too, that Scott Pruitt is running just behind them, just on the extreme right of your screen. He's just come into sight there. So Pruitt, I'm sorry, I think I misidentified. That looks like Al Holbert. Pruitt is down next to last. So this is a major development. Elliott, as we thought might be possible, has been able to leapfrog further through the pack than Scott Pruitt.
So Elliott works his way up through the pack. Elliott started back in the last full row of this field and now does battle with Dale Earnhardt. So Earnhardt and Elliott fight for position. At the front of the field, Jeff Bodine, followed by Al Unser.
We've seen more lane changes at this start of this race, Paul, than we normally see. Earnhardt, for example, if you watch him in the dark blue car, has really been trying a lot of different grooves. He's been kind of like a renegade. Instead of staying up and staying in line, he just keeps trying something new. He goes past somebody, and it seems like they pass him right back again.
Fight for third now. Al Unser Jr. trying to hold off Dale Earnhardt as they move on the backstretch and into turn 3. A high bank here at Michigan International.
Remember, it was here last year that Al Unser Jr. won what has become so far the only major oval race that he's ever won in his career.
You know, Bobby, I've got to tell you, I'm surprised that we're seeing as much running out in the open, out in the free. It would seem to me that the bright thing for a guy like Earnhardt, who just slides now up in front of Al Unser Jr., would be to try and save the tires and not get out in free air if he can avoid it.
Well, it looks like what he's doing. You watch Al Jr., he's just up on the outside of Earnhardt there. Earnhardt just got by out a little bit ago. What he's doing is he's letting Earnhardt kind of pull his car down, let him get through the turn just a little quicker. Now, if you remember last year, that's exactly how Al Jr. did the pass and won the race right here at Michigan, was on the high side.
Jeff Bodine is out in front of the field. Al Unser runs in second. You watch him there. He's now being chased by Dale Earnhardt, and then Al Unser Jr. is sitting back just behind these cars running in fourth in that lime green machine as they come across the stripe, completing lap number 9.
You can see that Bodine has pulled out what is at this point a genuine advantage. No one is able to slipstream him from that far back. If it happens that among these very equal cars, the drivers behind him get caught up in their own battle, we already could be seeing a significant situation develop. Bodine having broken free.
Well, remember, Sam, 2 cars can run faster than 1 if they stay in line. But if we've been watching Earnhardt, we notice that he just keeps getting offline, but he is going forward, so we can't say he's not doing a good job.
That's Al Holbert in 6th place, riding just ahead of the bumper cam of Terry Labonte's car. And then in front of Holbert, you can see as the cars move back and forth, everybody trying a different way around this track as they're lapping at just over 159 miles an hour. Earnhardt moves around Al Unser, and Earnhardt picks up second.
And all the drivers have said during their practice here at Michigan that Jay Signori and Froome have had these cars handling better than they they did last year, and it's certainly showing up now because these guys absolutely are not staying in that long string, Paul. They're racing each other, and they're going high and low. It makes no difference.
The handling is said to be very similar to what a traditional NASCAR Winston Cup car handles, like gentle understeer, the front very stable in the turns, and of course that understeer or push, as it's often called, will worsen gradually during the race as the fuel goes out of the tank. That is to say, the cars will come steadily more stable, not less so.
One of the advantages, Sam, that Bodine has right now, leading the race, is he's able to keep the car steady. The car doesn't jerk around and turn around a lot, whereas all of these other cars we're watching go by, they're hurting their tires a little bit more. So Jeff is probably taking care of his tires just a bit better than the others at the moment.
So here is Al Unser Jr. now battling with his father. Bill Elliott is just behind as Al Unser Jr. forges his way past and picks up third place. Now, here's his dad down on the low side. Remember, Bill Elliott, watch him close in. Elliott's been running that high groove very successfully the past few laps. Now, as he hooks up, that should give the combination of Al Unser Jr. and Elliott a definite advantage. Two more cars coming in back there, and they're keeping Big Al forced down to the inside. Look how they pull away.
Yeah, see, once you get caught out like that, now Roberto Guerrero could have stayed with Big Al, and they could have teamed up together and probably saved that deal, but they lost it.
On board with Al Unser Jr. looking back to Bill Elliott. Al Unser Jr. now running in third place. The top of the field is Jeff Bodine. He is being chased by Dale Earnhardt. We'll be back right after this. It's round number 3 at Michigan International Speedway as Bill Elliott continues a terrific race now as he moves down inside Al Unser Jr. Terry Labonte, another stock car veteran, up behind Elliott. Al Unser Jr. sitting to the high side. The battle here is for third place as Bill Elliott picked up third. Just ahead is Dale Earnhardt, and the leader is Jeff Bodine. The fight really now is for fourth. Take a look at how very close together Labonte and Al Unser Jr. are running.
Well, they've really been having a fabulous race. I think this is the best IROC over race I've seen in years, Paul. These guys are really able to pass. You notice how close they run to each other. The closer you can get to the other car, if you remember the Daytona show, the better that you can cut a hole through the air, the faster two cars can go like that.
You're on board with Terry Labonte, the fourth place car. Just ahead is Al Unser Jr. Bill Elliott just ahead of that. We're back to the lead. Jeff Bodine and Dale Earnhardt. As Dale Earnhardt now begins to close down on Jeff Bodine. The interval definitely closing down. Bodine out in front. Now, Dale Earnhardt is tough. He's tough on cars. He's tough on competitors and very tough to beat. But as Sam Posey notes, he's also well respected.
Dale Earnhardt's public image is of stock car racing's most aggressive driver, a throwback to the days when things were settled with fists and rough driving.
I think I'm just the hard-pressed, aggressive racer on the circuit, and some people try to paint a bad picture, but it's really not. It's we're champions. We go out and win.
And win he does. After hooking up with the Richard Childress team 4 years ago, Earnhardt has won 24 Winston Cup races, 2 championships, and more than $5 million. But even without the money, Earnhardt would still race. This hard man is in love with his sport.
I'm enjoying the racing quite a bit. I used to race for nothing. I used to race because you raced, and the money wasn't a part of it. You needed money to race, and was worried about how you was going to get enough to race with. And now it's become a big business, and there's a lot of pressure on you from sponsors, press, the fans. But still, it's fun. The day you get out and go racing is fun.
Fun to Dale Earnhardt includes some not-so-gentle pushing and shoving, often at well over 180 miles an hour. His rivals, nonetheless, hold him in high esteem.
I've learned a lot from a lot of different people, and I must say that the Dale Earnhardt probably helped me more than anybody. I mean, he's gone out of his way to give me a few pointers on what's going on and what's happening.
With the support of his wife, Teresa, Dale, like many of his fellow drivers, pursues business interests outside of racing. He owns a Chevy dealership and a large farm. Evidence of long-range planning from a man who says he never used to look beyond his next race.
I was pretty one way about, what I wanted to do. I wanted to race, and my family and my social life really suffered a lot before it because I spent so much time working and devoted to racing. But now it's came around to where it's a good business, and it's the future. So you know, I think it's paying its back for what we've give up in the past.
The lean years are over, banished into memory by hard work and single-minded determination to meet the next goal.
It's pretty neat. It's pretty exciting, and you know, I just look for more. I look for winning more races, running for more championships. You know, Petty's 7-time champion. They know, you know, that's a goal you set for yourself to try to win more championships. Whether I ever beat him or not, or win as many as he did, you know, like to try.
Fans have come to love Dale's glowering image and to be disappointed if he doesn't play his role. Racing's bad guy has made good.
Well, Dale Earnhardt is working his trade right now at the back bumper of Jeff Bodine's machine. It is a battle on the backstretch, heading into number 3 for the lead of this race.
Well, you know, in order to determine which driver drives which car, the drivers choose envelopes which contain a slip of paper with a color on it. Now, yesterday afternoon when the time came for choosing, Dale Earnhardt wasn't around, and I chose for him. And given Mr. Earnhardt's personality, I hope he is delighted with the car that I chose for him. It seems to be performing fine.
Well, he has to be satisfied with the fact that he's moved up into second place right now.
Well, I think Sam picked a good car for him. It looks like both of these drivers, Bodine and Earnhardt, have pulled out from the rest, Paul. In fact, they're enough ahead now where they've pretty much broken the slipstream that Bill Elliott has in third place.
But still, first and third is represented on the clock by just a tick over 2 seconds, though the interval is a tremendous distance. You can see at the left of the screen, first and second, and then all that distance goes back to Bill Elliott, who is currently battling with Al Unser Jr. for third place. Jeff Bodine is out in front. Dale Earnhardt challenges from second place, and there is a fight for third. We'll be back. We're back in a tremendous fight for third as Terry Labonte suddenly drops to the inside, gets past Bill Elliott, picks up an advantage by having Al Unser Jr. pull up behind him. Now, just before we came back, Labonte motioned a little Al, come on up behind me and smooth it out. Now it's a 3, 4, 5, 6 car draft.
What he wanted, Paul, is he wanted Al Jr. to bump him in the bumper. He wanted him to touch him.
Just like now.
About a 3 miles an hour push there, which is all he needed to get by. So what he did is he just carried little Al right with him.
So Terry Labonte moves into third place, brings Al Unser Jr. to fourth, and Bill Elliott drops back to fifth.
When you see a number there on the car, on the dashboard, that number shows where that driver is in the current IROC standing. So you saw 4 there on Unser. That means he's fourth in the championship right now. An idea, incidentally, of our own Jack Arute. And also there are stickers on these cars, every one of them would say, hurry back, Bobby. And to decode that, that means Bobby Allison, who was injured, of course, at Pocono in June. He was the IROC champion in 1980. Everyone is wishing him a good recovery.
And we had our wishes for a speedy recovery for Bobby Allison as well. Fight, the International Race of Champions. The lead for the moment is stable, with first being Jeff Bodine and Earnhardt being second. The fight has been, there's Bodine and Earnhardt. They are now well out in front of the fight for third place. And Labonte was able to move into third when he was picking up an advantage from the draft from Al Unser Jr. Now it is those 3 cars, Labonte and then Little Al, and then Bill Elliott now rides just behind. The question to Bill Elliott, is there one thing you use at MIS which works to your advantage?
Over here, you've got to use what you've got, what basics you've got, and hope that it comes close enough. You hope that the car don't pick up too bad of a position, because if you do, you're out. You hope that you can get somebody maybe to work with you, which here is not going to be as critical as it would be at Daytona or Talladega or any other Speedway. But still, yet you've got to be able to work along everybody else's mistakes. You know, if they pull out of line or whatever, pick up on their mistakes, and all that plays a part of it. It's no one thing, it's just a combination of everything you try to use to your advantage.
Bill Elliott, the silver car, currently runs in fifth, but Al Unser Jr. was running in fourth and now pulls up side by side to challenge Terry Labonte for third. Back to the lead. We watch the interval now, and there's that fight for third place.
Now there's little Al ahead of Terry Labonte. Now the idea is that those two have been teaming up, and they need to bump each other and push each other so you can see how far the leaders are to your left. There's Bodine and the other dark blue car, Earnhardt. What they're trying to do is they need to team not going to have a chance to win, and that's what they're doing.
And boy, look how close as we take a look on board. Terry Labonte's on board camera, and you just got a great view of the underside of Little Al's car.
It's the best shot we've ever seen, I think, here in Michigan.
I'll tell you, these cameras are absolutely magnificent. That is Al Unser Jr., third place, riding just ahead of Terry Labonte. Bobby Unser, he's your nephew. Did you feel that he was ready to do battle like this? I mean, he's showing traits now of a veteran stunt car driver.
Oh, he certainly does. Number one, he knows Michigan real well. They run a lot of races here. He loves the IROC cars. He's already been the champion one year, and he just loves running here. I think in a lot of ways, he's the diss track. He's a match for the NASCAR guys.
Of course, he won here last year, as I said before. And the main thing to realize about Little Al is he is on a hot streak. He's won two of the two most recent kart races, and in every way he brings a kind of aura of confidence into this race today.
So Al Unser Jr. currently rides in third. Jeff Bodine is first. Dale Earnhardt is second. Well, later today on ABC Sports, Coca-Cola presents the U.S. Olympic basketball trials. Danny Manning and David Robinson lead each other in Olympic hopefuls against a team of NBA All-Stars, including the '84 Olympic gold medalists Patrick Ewing and Chris Mullin. And golf's elder statesmen tee off in the final round of the U.S. Senior Open Championship. The action begins live, except on the West Coast, at 2 o'clock Eastern, 1 Central and Pacific, later today on ABC Sports. Still watching that battle for third place. Al Unser Jr. is continuing to hold off Terry Labonte, and Jeff Bodine, who picked up the lead early in the going from Roberto Guerrero, still leads Dale Earnhardt. So the International Race of Champion, round number 3, continues from Michigan International Speedway. We'll be back. National Speedway, you watch Jeff Bodine being trailed by Dale Earnhardt, but no real challenge for the lead. Bodine continues his lead. Earnhardt seems satisfied to sit in second place. There is the, well, broken off battle for third is its best description. Al Unser Jr. holds off Terry Labonte. In fourth place is Bill Elliott, followed by Al Unser, Al Holbert, Roberto Guerrero, Bobby Rahal, Scott Pruitt, and then Chip Robinson. So Al Unser Jr., the question, what happens now when the race settles down as it has? Is there nothing happening, or is there something we don't know about?
During the mid-race period that you're talking about, you're saving your tires. You're seeing where everybody is liking to run, and because that's what they're doing, and then that's what you're doing also, is trying to find the right pattern and trying to set yourself up for the last lap. And so during the mid-race, you're trying to get in position and at the same time saving your tires and saving your equipment to run on the last lap.
Jeff Bodine has now led most of the laps in this race, so Bodine has picked up 5 points with a point system in the International Race of Champions. That would actually move him ahead to 21 points now in the entire series. So Jeff Bodine moves up, picks up some points. We continue to watch the battle for third place, and it is Terry Labonte that continues to pursue Al Unser Jr. And just behind is Bill Elliott. But it seems, Bobby Unser, that everybody has settled down for just a moment. They're watching, they're learning a few things, as Labonte may be by watching the back end of Al Unser's car.
Well, they certainly are, Paul. And you can watch that rear tire on that car right there of Little Al's, and you can see that it gets a lot of abuse in the turns and gets hot. And what they're trying to do is to have enough rubber. Everybody wants to have an advantage at the end, so they want to have what they call enough rubber left to make a good race against whatever position they're trying to run for. For example, as we watch Bodine lead the race, we watch Elliott behind him, it's obvious that Elliott really isn't trying to pass right now. He wants to wait for a more appropriate time to do it.
They're averaging about 159 miles an hour each lap. That last lap was turned by Jeff Bodine at 159.9 miles an hour.
Well, of course, we're well into the race now. And if it's finished this way, exactly as it's being run now, Bodine, by winning this race, would fall into the IROC lead with 42 points to be trailed by Elliott with 41 and Al Unser Jr. with 40. So the situation that we saw coming in, the battle between Pruitt and Elliott would be dramatically changed. Pruitt, who you see right here, is not having a good day at all. He's running next to last. His hopes for using IROC as a springboard this year to bigger things are going glimmering right now in this race.
Well, Sam, we all watched Pruitt run Riverside and did such a fantastic job, but even though he's a stock car person as we know one, he really isn't a high bank person as we know him, and I think it's just starting to show up a little bit today, that just a little bit of lack of experience that the NASCAR guys have here the most, and then of course the kart guys have the second best.
Well, Scott Pruitt's background is really totally one of road racing. He has very little opportunity to drive on a high bank super speedway like the 2 miles of Michigan International.
Or in big cars like this. Sure, he started with go-karts and then went on purely into sports car racing.
Of course, this is round number 3 of the IROC. Next Sunday, the 21st of August, on ABC Sports, it will be the final leg of the International Race of Champions from Watkins Glen, New York. The world's premier drivers competing in identically prepared racing cars test their skills to decide who is the king of the road. The showdown begins at 5 o'clock Eastern, 4 Central and Pacific, Sunday on ABC Sports.
Oh, the race for third place is heating up a little bit. Terry Labonte has just gone by Al Jr. There's Al Jr. now in 4th place. What they did is Elliott and Labonte teamed up a little bit. Little Al got a little off course, just like he is there right now. He's in a different groove, and they just went right on by. Now, little Al is coming back again, so he's back in 3rd. So we are having a new race right now.
Well, he's in 3rd, but Terry Labonte sits right at his rear bumper now, gives him a little nudge as they come to the backstretch. Labonte now begins to challenge Al Unser Jr. The leader is still Jeff Bodine at Michigan International. We'll be back right after this. With Bobby Unser, Sam Posey, and Jack Arute, you watch Jeff Bodine leading Dale Earnhardt in round number 3 of the International Race of Champions. That's Jeff Bodine, NASCAR champion, as he pulls a second stock car veteran around this circuit. In fact, Dale Earnhardt, a 3-time Winston Cup champion. They are out in front of the race. The battle for 3rd place is between Al Unser Jr. and Terry Labonte. We watch Al Holbert as he challenges Al Unser in a fight for 5th place. Now, Al Holbert is the white appearing car on the right-hand side of your screen, a veteran road racing driver, one who really knows his way around a road racing circuit. We asked him, do drivers from each racing discipline tend to draft with one another?
Road racing guys generally are a little more timid, and you have to be, I mean, I've already discovered you really have to think about what you're doing here. For those guys, it's pretty much automatic. And I have to think about making sure I carry plenty of speed into the corner, which is not a normal tendency for a road racer. Road racing normally likes to breathe out of it and set up and gain the momentum exiting the corner. And in this business, you've got to carry the momentum right all the way through the corner.
The battle for 5th, 6th, and 7th. That is Bill Elliott, the silver car that you saw just a glimpse of there off behind these machines.
A small point, but Holbert, when he raced first in IROC, it was right here back in the late 70s. He crashed in the first turn and slid all the way down the backstretch upside down. So whether he's thinking of that now, I doubt it, but he did have his IROC debut begin with a bang.
Well, you know, Bobby and Sam, that's a question often asked by the layman. Do you guys stop and think, for example, Al Unser Jr. had a terrible accident here in the Michigan 500 in 1984, coming off of the second turn, flipped end over end and upside down. Do you guys think about that when you drive on the track years later?
No, they can't do that, Paul. A race driver cannot afford that luxury if it were a luxury. He just has to concentrate on what's going to happen and what he's doing today. He doesn't worry about what happened to him in the past.
About 3.5 laps to go, the International Race of Champions. And now, if there is a strategy to play, if there is a tactic from each of these drivers, it should begin to show. Bobby, one of the interesting things that unlike their other jobs as an IndyCar or NASCAR driver, here they take home all the money.
Well, they certainly do. You know, the driver usually takes home like 40% of whatever the purse is. Some of them get 50%. In this particular race, it's 100%. They get their expenses paid besides, so this is a total profitable race to the drivers. It makes more sense than any other race they run.
Going into turn number 3, Al Unser Jr., Terry Labonte. That is a 3rd and 4th place position, and then Al Unser now rides in 5th place. Out in front, Jeff Bodine, Dale Earnhardt, they ride alone.
Well, of course, we are seeing a repeat, really, in terms of form of what happened at Daytona at the outset this year, which is that the NASCAR men dominate on these fast ovals. There's no question about it. Whatever skills, you see little Al there, whatever skills they have seem to absolutely put them in a dominant position. And at the same time, I think the IROC concept works quite well, because when we go to road racing courses, as we did at Riverside and will be at Watkins Glen, the road racing men come to the fore.
Working the 48th of 50 laps. Just ahead, Al Unser Jr. You look from Terry Labante's car. That's third place ahead. First place is still Bodine. Second place, still Earnhardt.
And as we watched the front end, we were expecting Dale Earnhardt to be making a real hard run on Jeff Bodine at the last, Bob, but I noticed that Jeff just seems to have got some extra power and is literally running away a little bit.
And in the shot going away, you saw the white flag indicating one more lap to go. And already Jeff Bodine, as the starter reaches down to find the checkered flag, is on the backstretch. Here's the fight for third place. Labonte closing in. Al Unser just behind. Al Holbert jockeying for position. That's Bill Elliott just behind Holbert as the leaders. Now into the fourth turn. We're watching the fight for third place.
A classic matchup here now between an IndyCar racer, Al Unser Jr. on the left, and Labonte, the great stock car racing, and another battle.
Al Unser, Al Holbert fighting with one another. They fight for fifth place as Jeff Bodine takes the checkered flag, then Earnhardt, then Little Al, then Labonte, and a close fight, though I think Unser beat Holbert to the line as Holbert tried to go down low, and then Elliott came in just behind Holbert.
Just a half a car length is all there was between Al Unser and Al Holbert, Paul.
So Jeff Bodine has won the third round of the International Race of Champions. We'll be back to talk to him in just a minute.
Congratulations, you've gone from 9th in the points into a tie for the lead in the points championship. You could very well defend your title.
Is that right? Boy, that's great. We sure needed this good run. Let me get my earplugs out so I can hear you. Haven't been doing too well up till today. The yellow car ran real good. You know, it's the same color as my Levi Garrett car. Hope maybe I get it next week. That's a good car today.
Did you think maybe on that restart you'd already shown your hand when you sliced your way through the traffic? Did you think, uh-oh, I'm in trouble?
No, I was sure Roberto and Bobby were just feeling their cars out. I took a little chance, I guess, and just drove outside of them. But on that second start, they both went in that corner a little deeper. And, of course, it took me a few laps to get by Roberto. He did a great job out there today.
Well, we're going right down to Watkins Glen, his hometown nearby in Chemung. Maybe we'll have a repeater in the title.
At 159.43 miles an hour, Jeff Bodine wins it, followed by Dale Earnhardt. Little Al, Terry Labonte, Big Al, Al Holbert, Bill Elliott, Bobby Rahal, Scott Pruitt, Roberto Guerrero, and Chip Robinson. And when you add in the extra points for leading the most laps, Jeff Bodine now leads the series with 42, followed by Little Al, Elliott, Labonte, Earnhardt, Scott Pruitt, Robinson, Unser, Holbert, Rahal, Cord, and Guerrero. 3 different races, 3 different winners. The final round coming up at Watkins Glen. The International Race of Champions has been brought to you by the Heartbeat of America, today's Chevrolet. By Budweiser, proud sponsor of the 1988 U.S. Olympic team. This Bud's for you. By Thrifty. For worldwide reservations, call toll-free 1-800-4CARS. And by General Motors Parts and your local GM dealer. Later today on ABC Sports, Coca-Cola presents the U.S. Olympic basketball trials as Danny Manning and David Robinson lead other Olympic hopefuls against a team of NBA All-Stars. And golf's elder statesmen tee off in the final round of the U.S. Senior Open Championship. And on Sunday, August 21st, it's the final round of the International Race of Champions from Watkins Glen.